Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Reinhardt, and with the upcoming UFC fight of McGregor versus Poirier 2, I'm going to talk about the love-hate relationship between UFC fans and Conor McGregor. In this video, I'm going to talk about how Conor McGregor went from one of the most loved people in the sport to a 50-50 of constant hate and die-hard fans who still love him to this day. Now, the reason I think Conor McGregor gets a lot of hate today can be summed up in five reasons, and I'll talk about them now. Number one, I think is trash talk.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
A lot of fighters did talk trash before Conor McGregor. Chael Sonnen being one of them was a great example. Tito Ortiz, another great example, because both these guys got very popular off of talking trash. Conor McGregor took it to an entirely new level, attacking every little detail about a person he was about to fight, and even fighters he wasn't even in the same weight class as. So that really did leave a sour taste in fans' mouth who thought by looking at other fighters like George St. Pierre, for example, who are very respectful to all their opponents, they don't like to see a fighter disrespect another fighter because you're in there for the same reason, and that's to be champion. So why would you talk shit about another fighter for that? So I think that leads into my next point of the loss to Khabib. That was a big toll on Conor McGregor's career because he did talk so much shit going into that fight. He made fun of Khabib's religion, culture, country, and father, and I think multiple other things, not to mention the dolly and the bus incident, throwing a dolly at a bus window and smashing over Khabib's team and other UFC fighters. I mean, months and months of trash talk while Khabib stayed relatively quiet and didn't do a whole lot wrong, made Conor McGregor look like the bad guy. And you can't even go on a UFC post or even any post that remotely involves Conor McGregor without seeing McTapper and chicken emojis by diehard Khabib fans. And while they get made fun of too, I don't think Conor McGregor will ever let that die down, or the fans will never let it die down. So trash talk going into the Khabib loss, they go hand in hand because he did talk so much shit. If you look at who Khabib beat after him, Dustin Poirier, he never gets criticized for that loss because Dustin Poirier was very respectful before and after that fight, even while losing. So it just makes sense that that is why he's getting so much hate. Another reason is flexing. Now, some people really like to see Conor McGregor flex because it makes them think that they were a part of that by being a fan of his, that his wealth and success, they were there, from 2013 all the way now to 2021. They feel like they're a part of it, especially the Irish fans. Other people, like I said, they want to see a humble person. Even though Conor McGregor has hundreds of millions of dollars, they don't want to see that in their face at all times in every single post. But that's just not Conor. That's not what made Conor who he is today. And I don't think he'll ever change because he's just going to keep getting more money. And the more he gets, the more he flexes. I think just now, as of this week, he was staying in a $10,000 a week beachside mansion in Abu Dhabi or wherever they're fighting at. So he's just very different from the other UFC fighters who probably couldn't even afford what he's able to buy. So that is just another reason I think fans really kind of changed their tune on Conor McGregor and turned on him. Because in his original days from 2013 to 2016, really before the Floyd Mayweather fight, even after his loss to Nate Diaz, he was still like 90% of the community really loved him or was able to tolerate him perfectly fine. But it really seemed like the loss to Floyd Mayweather, the fact that it wasn't a boxing match, and then especially the loss to Khabib a year later, really made it so fans have split on whether they like or don't like Conor McGregor. Which brings me to my next point is actually 2 points. I think lack of fights and fighting outside of the UFC. Those are two kind of one and the same because he's lack of fights. He was fighting. For example, Floyd Mayweather in 2017. That's all he fought though. That wasn't even in the UFC. This is while he's still a two-weight champion. So I think that really was a stepping stone in the hatred that he was getting. That really divided fans, is what I'm trying to say. Is when you were a two-weight class champion, you're holding up not one but two divisions, making people fight for interim titles, and just really putting all those fighters on ice, taking away their paychecks and their right to fight as a champion. So, or for a championship. Conor McGregor really pissed off a lot of fans by doing that because he never defended the belts and was able. I think he was stripped of both of them. If not, then just the 145, I think. So that really was they just nail in the coffin for many other fans. And lastly, not fighting or calling out high-level opponents. If you look, I mean, you hear people talk about this all the time. The Dennis Seaver fight as an interim title shot for him. I think Dennis Seaver was coming off a loss, a steroid pop, and he was ranked number 12 or 13. That's not much. I mean, that really pissed off a lot of fans because there were other people they felt who deserved to get the title shot more, but Conor got it because of his fame and popularity, which I can see that. I can see why he would get hate for that. Another thing is calling out Diego Sanchez, calling out Anderson Silva when he's like 45 years old on a four-fight losing streak. I think Diego Sanchez is also in his 40s or almost 40 and is 1-3 in his last four, if I'm not mistaken, and only one of those wins was just by disqualification of Michel Ferreira. So yeah, that just doesn't look good for Conor to call out these high level or these low level guys, but then claim himself as a high level athlete, or even some of his tweets as the goat of all mixed martial arts or fighting in general. And then lastly, his fight against Donald Cerrone last year in 2020. Donald Cerrone was TKO'd in his last two fights before he fought Conor, so it just didn't look like a high level Cerrone of which people wanted or a high level opponent at all. And McGregor gets so much hate is because he talks shit, the loss to Khabib, constantly flexing his money, not fighting or holding up the two divisions he was champion of, and then not fighting or calling out high level opponents. I had to redo this video because last night I felt like I kind of stumbled through it and stuttered too much, but I'm still putting work into my other videos. This one's a little bit different. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I make definite MMA content, but I mostly make other content too about just talking about YouTube stuff. So, you know, but if you're into the MMA stuff, yeah, like and subscribe. I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah, have a good night, guys.